guys, welcome back. The sun's still shining, but we don't care, do we? Because this is the final video in the, we've found a name for it, Dolly Dawdle. So this is the final video in Dolly Dawdle's tutorials, and we're going to see a finished dolly after the end of this video. So what have we got? We've got a head, a body, 2 arms, a hat, 2 tassels to go on the hat, and a ruff to go around her neck, and a little bit of yarn left. Okay, so let's get cracking. Where do we start? I think the first thing we're going to have to do is attach the head to the body. So we'll pop all these things out of the way. We left a nice long tail on the body to fasten it to the head, and we didn't leave one on the head. Okay, so we just needed one or the other. And what we're going to do is, you've got 20 stitches left on your body, and you've also got 20 stitches left on your head. So once you line them up, you can just attach each bottom post. This is the bottom post here, look, you see that? That with the needle, it'll be easier. There's your bottom post, and that's what we're going to stitch into, and the equivalent one for the head is there, look. So this is the back look, because you can see the steps in the join. So this is the back, and then the back of the head is where we finished. So if you go there, look, that's where we finished. So that's the back of the head. So we're going to start here, joining up the back of the head with the back of the body. So thread our yarn. Now remember, you get a huge eyed needle in yours, but it's a bit shorter. I prefer a long one. This is called a doll's needle. Now you can get these on the internet everywhere. You just have to search for doll's needles, and basically they're handy because you can go right through the doll and you've still got a bit showing either end. So this is, and a lot of people, when they're making dolls, cloth dolls, they like to shape the cheeks and the face and things like that, and that's what they use these doll needles for, and then they'll go right through the doll and stitch it off. But yes, that's called a doll needle, and this is just a normal bog standard bodkin with a huge eye because you're using thick yarn. So I always turn my dolly's body upside down and hold it towards the head this way. Okay, so we'll come down and we'll line that one up with the first back loop, look there. Pull it quite firmly, then go back and do it with another one. And then we're going to do that all the way around. There's the back post, look, and then go up and get the corresponding back post. It's a bit difficult trying to do it flat on a table. I usually have this on my knee, so forgive me if she's sliding around everywhere. So that's 3. So I'm just going to speed up the video here. There we are, I'm nearly there. Now, if you notice, I've turned my needle round. I'll tell you why I did that, because I was catching the stitches with my sharp point of my needle. You haven't got a sharp point, but you still might pick up them, so you might be better going in with the tail end, because you can easily go through the posts, look like that, with the tail end. But the reason I've just stopped there is because I've got a hole here. This is where you may need to put in a little bit more stuffing. So while you've still got a big enough gap to get some in, stuff some more stuffing into the body and the head, and basically what you're doing there is you're reinforcing the neck bit. Okay, because if you imagine when she's got her hat on, she's going to have quite a heavy head. So look, that one's quite firm, so you need to be able to put enough stuffing in there to make sure she's going to be firm. It's a fine line here. If your stitches start looking like they're coming apart, coming open, stop, you've got enough in. I can still put some more in there. You will have plenty of stuffing with your kit. There we go. And then once that's in, you just tease it a little bit with your needle so that it's all nice and even. Okay, that's lovely. And then we'll just do the last few stitches. Again, I'll use my tail end. Now, as we get further into more intermediate, more difficult kits, these are really, really easy kits specifically for complete beginners. So I've made the patterns as a little bit of stuffing's determined it's going to get in on the act. I've made these patterns as simple as I can, and that's why you've got 20 stitches on your head and 20 stitches on your body. You don't always get that luxury. Sometimes you have to make the head fit the body, but that will be later on when we go into the more intermediate patterns. And I do hope you follow me along on your journey too. If you have been across and bought a kit and you've been following the tutorials, when you've finished, I'd love to see a copy of it. So if you upload it to Facebook or something and tag me, Crochet Cuties by Jools, into your post, I'll be able to see it. Or you can go onto my Facebook page, Crochet Cuties by Jools, and leave a comment for me, leave a message for me. But I'd love to see your works of art once they've been done. There we are, so it's all done, look. So I'm going to do another couple of, see, getting quite tight now. Another couple of stitches there, look. Fasten it off, and then in you go. Bury it in your body. There we are. Now that neck is lovely and firm, look. I can't stand a floppy dolly. There we are. Right, so what's next? Arms. Now we're going to use a piece of yarn to set our positioning for the arms. I showed people how to do this in the Jolly Giraffe videos, and it's an amazing way of doing it. If you don't need to do it, you don't need to do it. But basically the arms need to be in line with the legs up to the head, okay? And we're going to go over 4 stitches. So 1, 2, to come 1 row down, look, and you've got 1 back bar, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now that's not quite right. Can you see that? Can you see how that is too far that way? So we'll come out again and we'll go into these 4 back posts, and then we'll just thread a piece of yarn through. And if you can see now, look, there's the leg, and that is dead in the middle of the leg. And then do it onto the other side as well. So when you've come up the middle like this, you just want to do 2 back posts one way and 2 back posts the other way, okay? And that'll be your 4. Talk amongst yourselves. There we go. Now this one's a bit more difficult because that's where the join was, look, and when you're going round and round and round in circles, you always end up where one circle finishes and there's not a straight line there, but we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4 back loops, look, so we're fine really, we can manage. Okay, so here's the arm. We've joined the top with, I think it was 3 stitches, and then in we go. And we're going to do the first one into the first back post where we marked with the contrast yarn. Okay, so there's your first one, and then you go up and you pick a full bite up, stitch width bite. There's one, another back post. Now try not to catch your contrast yarn because otherwise you're never going to get it out. Another big bite, three, another big bite, and there's your last one, your fourth, and then you've just got the remainder. That's why I took big bites, so that I was at this end by the time you got to there, and then you just want to take a little nibble of the end there. And can you see how that's now fastened? So then we can take that out now because we've done our 4. You see I've caught it, so there we go. So that's the 4, and now we're going to use the corresponding 4 stitches that we fastened the head on with. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we go into that one, pull it nice and tight, and then go into the first row of crocheting, look, so we're going into there, pull it nice and tight, and then number 2, nice big bite. That's a bit too much, is that one? Number 3, number 4. There we go, and then into there, and we go all the way to the bottom of the arm, look. Take a little bite first, and then we'll go through the same hole to pull that nice and tight. Can you see how that's gone nice and firm there? And then thread through to the other side of the arm. Don't pull this tight. That's it. Just make sure you've no loop, but don't pull it tight. And then again, we're going to go into that first stitch. And down like that. Can you see? Oh, sometimes it gets a bit tough sometimes if you end up going through a knot. There we are, and now the arm is nice and firm, and then all you've got to do is go through a few stitches and bury your knot. Now I've already got the other one nicely lined up. Can I look at that? Look, dead perfect in the middle of the dolly. Okay, now I've already got the other one lined up, so I'll see you back here in a few minutes when you've got your second arm on. And there we are, 2 arms, okay? And she's starting to look like a dolly now. So what do we have to do next? We have to assembling the hat. So we'll put Dolly out of the way. Now there are 2 ways you can assemble a hat, or a straight piece of work like this, you can do it the traditional way with a needle, or you can do the flat surface slip stitch, which is what I'm going to show you. But first of all, we're going to just get rid of our end. Okay, got 4 ends to sew in, so we want rid of these, and no good to anybody. So we'll go up that way and then through the loops of the single crochets. There we are. There's number 1. I've got 3 more, so I'll just speed this up a little bit here while I'm doing this. There we are, there's all 4 all fastened in. And what we're going to do, we're going to, now the normal stitching method, you close the sides up first and you just go through the corner here and just over stitch it all the way to the end. And then when you'd finished doing it that way, you'd flatten it out so that the seam is down the back of the hat, and you'd over stitch again through both of the loops. So you'd go through both loops like that. Okay, but what we're going to do today, we're going to use the surface slip stitch closure. So for that we'll need some purple yarn. Okay, and then you do a slip knot on the end, and then we're going to go into the beginning stitch. So that's that one there. Oops, sorry, there's that one there, but I'll go in the top one first, didn't I? Teach you wrong. That one there, and then that one there, and then put your tension on, and your yarn will be underneath. And all you're going to bring it through is, you're not going to bring it through and do a single crochet, you're just going to bring it through and do a slip stitch. Okay, and we're going to do that in every stitch for the back seam. Now don't do them too tight because it'll pucker your seam up and it'll be too tight and it'll look unsightly. So there we go. So you need 2 for each stripe. You can find your holes. Your holes are just there, look, where your row is. You just go through that hole. Okay. Oops, let me stitch a bit there. And you'll see how neat this is when we get to the top, when I show you the back of it. Now you can see how slack I'm doing them. Look, there's no pucker at all. And this is why we call it a surface slip stitch, because the slip stitch, the V is on the top, then you've just got like a little running stitch, the back of the slip stitch on the bottom. You can also use a surface slip stitch for decoration A lot of people use it for decoration on dollies and dollies' clothes and things like that. If you use contrast yarn, it does look nice. But in this instance, we're using it to close. There we go. And then into the last one, pull through, and then one chain to lock it. There we go. And there's your, now it's a bit thicker this side because we've got the yarn that we carried, but you can see what nice, oops, finish it is. There you go, look. Isn't it lovely? Now I'm going to use that end for the bottom because it's nice and stretchy, and I'm going to use that part for the top of the hat because it's a bit tighter. Okay, and so you fold your hat in half with the seam down the middle, and you do exactly the same as we just did. There you go. So you've got your slip stitch, and then you want to go through one and through the other, directly opposite. Okay, pick up the yarn and go through your slip knot on your hook, and then through that one, and they're easy to match up, so easy to match up. Come on through. Now that's gone tight because I've picked up a thread somewhere. That's better. You can always tell if something's not quite right. And then with the magic of editing, we'll whiz along to the end. And there we have it, through the last one, like a slip stitch, chain to fasten off. And there's your hat. Okay, now we'll just stitch those two bits in. So I hope you're all enjoying these videos. I never for 1 minute thought I'd have a YouTube channel, and it was my darling son that got me doing it, helping me to promote my shop, and thought it might be good if I did something new, which is the kits. And also I thought that you do need videos really for people who have never crocheted before, and for those who haven't crocheted before, oh gosh, you don't know what you're missing. I just love it, absolutely love it. I can knit. I find knitting very tedious. I do dressmaking, I'm okay with that. My crocheting, I love it. Absolutely love it. Now I'm going to do a little locking stitch there because that's a slip knot and it's coming loose a little bit. So through, stick your tail through the slip knot and then lose your end. You see, all this is inside the hat. Nobody's going to see this. But I can remember my guides mistress saying to me when they were teaching us how to stitch buttons on and things like that, always imagine that people can see the inside as well as the outside and make it as neat as you can. So that's what I do. There you go. So what do we want next? We want to put these on, and these go on the next because we're going to fasten them inside the hat. So we're going to go right through the corner, look, with that tail. I can only get one, as I said, but you should be able to get both yours. And then if you go one tail one side of a stitch and one tail another side of a stitch, you won't be in danger of losing your tassel because the stitch is going to keep it nice and firm. And in we go with the second tail. There you are, look, so there's a stitch separating the tassel, and pull it nice and firm. You don't want a baggy tassel. There you go. And you don't have to stitch your ends in, you can just leave a little knot, not too short, you don't want them poking through your work. There we go. There's one. Go the other side of a stitch. It looks like that one. Now I've got to do a bit of a repair here. Look, it looks like one of them is right through the other, and that's no good. So separate the two pieces of yarn. There you go. They're separate now, look. Sorry about that. Most things in crochet and knitting and things like that can be rectified if there's a mistake or something. Don't take much to rectify them. So there's one, and then go into that one so that it's either side of a stitch. And there's the second one. There we are. That's all I'm going to do for this tutorial. Make sure you've got your front of your dolly, not the back of the dolly where your steps are, look. So that's the front of the dolly. And next time I'll show you how to stitch the hat on, and we'll do the features on the dolly, and then Dolly Dawdle will be finished. See you then. Bye.